on with the show. Thank you everybody for helping me out and for enduring my my little I mean I don't even know if I would call that a tantrum, but my little bit of frustration. Greg, I'm disappointed one of the topics isn't about the new anime. You know what, Ryan? I don't follow anime as far as seasons. I've heard people say that like the new anime season's coming up, and I'm always like, okay, well, what the new shows? Because I watch anime and I catch it so late, I'm never there at the beginning when these shows really start. Like it's always, hey, have you heard about this show? You should check this out. Oh, how old is it? Like 4 years. All right, yeah, like you know, how much of the show is out? Oh, it's like 3 seasons in. Like I'm never there at the beginning of anime season, so I'm never from. I've heard people say that before. You know, the new anime season is out. Like for which show? Well, no, there's like new shows. Like I couldn't possibly tell you the newest I've ever watched an anime. I don't years the. Probably a couple of years is as close as I've ever gotten to a new anime. I mean, it's been really bad luck, a lot of bleh, basically a whole lot of it. Greg gets one scratch in his cartridge, throws it out the window. Okay, so yeah, so that whole thing has been indicative of my entire week, but we're good now. I still watch stuff in the 80s. Yeah, basically every 12, 13 weeks or quarter of the year, a new season of anime starts. That's how JPTV broadcasting works. New shows debut at the start of individual seasons. I guess, Ryan, my problem is that I never really had access to new shows. It was always stuff late, finding out. You know, I grew up buying bags of anime VHS that have been out for years and years. So I never had a portal to new show, and we never really did. If you think about it, it's only been within what the past 5 years maybe that we've had these extremely easy ways to get new shows. You know, we're getting simulcast shows. We're getting shows that were on a week ago, and then they're already translated for an American market, for the worldwide market. Like that's not all that old. Like that's still relatively new. And I'm like I have Crunchyroll because I'm using somebody else's account. I downloaded the Funimation app and I don't know that I've ever opened it yet. Listen, I keep checking out these anime rushed subs equals bad. I keep checking out these anime websites for different shows. They don't have like, I think one of them has Yu Yu Hakusho now. None of them has the Project Echo movies. None of them has the Tenchi shows that I want to watch. Like, none of them, for some reason, none of them have Love Hina. I guess everybody just forgot that Love Hina ever existed. I like the newer stuff, but I like the older stuff too. And that's usually what I'm looking for is the older stuff. You know, Hulu has, or Amazon Prime, I think it was, had Macross SDF. Was it called SDF or was it called Do You Remember Love? Echo is I know, and I keep wanting to buy it, but I don't know, $20. All right. Yeah, Funny has you and SDF macro. Yeah, okay. But yeah. That's probably a whole nother discussion for a whole nother time. All this stuff is very whatever. It was very popular unless yeah. All right. So I want to get into the topics because we ate up a whole lot of time at the beginning, being disastrous. The first thing I want to discuss is the Best Buy Direct. Oh boy. The Best Buy Direct. For anybody that I don't know, has been taking a break from social media and has not seen what's going on this whole week. There were 3 things that were leaked. 4 things if you count the one from a few days before. That Best Buy leaked. First which I'm not really concerned about, was Joker's render for Smash Brothers. They apparently they accidentally posted a picture of his render on Smash Brothers. I don't understand why that was a big deal. I don't care. It's not like you don't know what the character's going to look like. Fine, you saw a render of it. You still saw a 2D image of the character. It's not like the render showed up to your house and showed you his moveset. Like, I don't really understand that one. As far as people were I mean, it's understandable that it was only news for like 20 minutes. But I really didn't understand the whole hype behind everybody. Oh my god, they leaked the render. Like, yeah, who cares? You knew what the character was going to look like. It really wasn't a big deal. Sometime after that, which was a few days ago, some news came out. Some stuff was found in their system that should not have been found. It's more than insinuation that it was closer to release than we might have thought. See, I kind of thought we knew that they were before that render. Wasn't there the whole thing about April 25th that there was going to be some big news? I just kind of figured we would get the news then. I kind of figured we were going to get the news of, and I'm calling it now. I'm actually going to say now that that's what I think is going on. April 25th, I think they're going to either release the character or show us the moveset for the character. And I think they're going to tell us that Persona 5 is Persona 5S is the Switch version of the game. That was one of the leaks. Was that in the system Persona 5, I think for the Switch, was going to be coming out, which is one of those things that everybody knows. Like, I don't think that there's anybody out there who doesn't think Persona is coming to the Switch. So this was not a big giant oh my god. It was nice to see what we could call some kind of confirmation for it. But I don't think that the idea of it coming out was news to a lot of people. That being said, the third of these things, there were three things that by the way, we're calling it the Best Buy Direct only because it was a whole bunch of stuff that was leaked by Best Buy. They did not actually have a press conference or anything. The third of these things kind of throws all of this into question in a way, if you want to look at it that way. The second thing is another thing that I think we all wanted, but weren't sure if it was going to happen. That is Metroid Prime Trilogy for the Switch. I think that's something that a lot of us are pretty much expecting at this point. But I will admit, we don't necessarily have a reason to be expecting it. There's been no talk of it earlier, so we don't have a reason. But Prime Trilogy is one of those no duh things that Nintendo should be saying. I feel like we, as the gamers, as the people watching all of this stuff, don't really have a justification for thinking that it's coming. But I think from Nintendo's point of view, they should definitely be the ones saying, well, yeah, of course we're going to put that on there. You know, we had Samus Returns. We've got Metroid Prime 4 coming out. Especially now that Metroid Prime 4 has been delayed, they really should release Metroid Prime Trilogy. The third thing, and I'm going to come back to all of these because there's a major point that I want to make about all of these. The third thing is the wildest thing. It said Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past on the Switch. It has been confirmed that it is not Link's Awakening. There already is a listing for Link's Awakening, so it's not that. But Link to the Past was also put on there. We also have a Prime rep in Smash now. That could just be a legacy thing. So we don't know what it is. here is the big and that thing right there kind of throws all of this into chaos, because for all we know, this was the website was hacked. You know what I mean? Like that. It's a at this point, I feel like they would have told us if that were the case. But for all we know, and that was the thing that when I first saw that, I thought, were they hacked and there's somebody pumping fake information into the system? Because these are three things that everybody would love to see and pretty much are expecting to happen. Well, the first two are anyway. So were they hacked? Was there information put into it? I feel like Best Buy would have come out immediately and said, okay, our system was hacked. A bunch of stuff was put in there that wasn't supposed to be. That was not the case. They have not said anything, which means it's already too late, which means if they even tried to say something, they'd be lying about one thing or the other. So there's no, we can pretty much be sure that that is what's going on, that this stuff is legit. The thing about the Link to the Past one is that it throws the other two into question also, because it's so bizarre. Was Link to the Past before or after? Link to the Past, I believe, was before, and then a similar. I've always heard that a similar engine was used from Link to the Past and then transferred over to the Game Boy to make Link's Awakening. I don't actually know the validity of that. I never looked up the history of those games, so I'm not really sure. I can't verify that one way or the other. Here's the thing that a lot of people don't seem to be acknowledging. We have no idea what any of this is. And what I mean when I say that is, LA was going to give me a Game Boy version of LT. Okay, yeah. What I mean is Persona 5 for the Switch. We don't know if that is a physical version. We don't know if it's a special edition. We pretty much just assume it's just going to be the game. That seems like the obvious one. Metroid Prime Trilogy. We don't know if that's an HD remaster, if it's just a port of the Wii game with different controls. If it is all on one cartridge, if it's 3 cartridges, if it's download only and they just selling you the card or something. Like, we don't actually have any of this information. A lot of people attached the Prime Trilogy cover onto a Switch box and said, "Oh, this is it. This is what it's going to be." But we don't actually know. We have no idea of what this could be. Link to the Past is the biggest one that we don't know what it could be. It could easily be a Link to the Past branded card that gives you eShop points. That's the less likely one. That's the ridiculous one. We don't know if they're bringing Super Nintendo games to the Switch, but you have to buy them individually. And this is them selling a card for that. We don't know if this is a remake of Link to the Past. For all we know, this could be a remake of... This could be a Link to the Past with Link Between Worlds on the same game. You know, we actually don't have any information as to what specifically is going on. So that to me is the most intriguing part of all of this, because that Link to the Past thing throws everything for a loop, because it could all just be a scam. It could be a mistake. It could be a complete mistake. I'm late. Yeah, Diego, you're okay. We're still on the first topic. We had a bunch of problems earlier. And that's the best thing about all of this, is that we actually don't know what's going on. They have since taken all of this stuff out of their system, which I think is mandatory. Nobody has commented on what's going on. But the real question is, what will that do to the random? Oh my God, could you imagine? Could you imagine if they sourced the randomizer development people and put a randomizer in the game? Oh my God. Link to the Past reminds me of when the files for SNES games were found in the NES app. However, they released 2 versions of the same game. I mean, that's what it could be. It could be that Super Nintendo games are coming to the Switch. And that's going to be one of the first ones. I swear, if they bring Super Nintendo games to the Switch and they're one game at a time, I'm going to lose my mind. If it wasn't for Tetris, I'd probably cancel it, and then just wait and get my free year with Amazon Prime. Yeah, I think it's wild that all of that Best Buy information came out. Yesterday's games were delisted from the app's internal list. See, it's interesting that they put this stuff up and they get caught and then they take it right down and then they don't comment on it. I think not commenting on it is also an interesting is an interesting development in the sense that if it was BS, they'd say it was BS. So the fact that they're not saying it tells me that it's accurate. The only thing that bothers me, though, is that could you imagine if we got to watch a direct where we heard this news? Like you start the direct with Persona 5 and we say, oh, well, yeah, of course that was going to happen, but we're still into it. We're still watching it and think it's pretty cool. In the middle of the direct, we get actual confirmation of Metroid Prime Trilogy and we find out that it's an HD remake or remaster or something like that. Blows our minds. You know, we all thought it was going to happen, but we didn't actually know it was going to happen until that moment. And then at the end, we find out that they're also remaking Link to the Past. You know, how amazing and mind-blowing would that direct have been? Now, if we get that direct, we're going to sit there and we're going to go, oh yeah, we already knew that. I mean, it's still cool to see, but we already knew it. It sucks the fun out of it to me. That's why I don't like a lot of these when these kinds of leaks happen. It sounds cool and it's great to have information, but I don't know, I like being wowed with their direct. I think that's why I was so disappointed with Sony's State of Play, is that we're so used to directs where we get to be wowed. And that was the State of Play. We talked about that last week, but that was meh at best. All right, so let's go back here. I'd rather just eShop all of the games. Yeah, sick of drip feed BS. Unless it allows for different sprites in the. Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. More belief that it might be a Link to the Past HD remake. Still waiting for Donkey Kong 64 for the Switch. Yeah, I'm not too mad. 2 of the 3 are kind of no-brainers, and if Prime Trilogy is a full HD, if I think that's what would blow our minds now. If Prime is a full HD remake, I think that's the thing that we'd still get our socks knocked off for seeing that. Be more mad if it was full of new titles. Yeah, and that would definitely be worse. It would be worse if we got new titles, but at the same time, if we got a bunch of titles, if we had a Best Buy Direct, one of these events, 2 weeks before the E3 2014, which was when Splatoon was announced, we would have seen Splatoon on their listings. And we would have said, what the hell is Splatoon? We still would have been wowed when we saw the event, because we still would have seen it for the first time. All we saw on this Best Buy thing were listings for names. We don't actually know what those names mean. You know, what the hell is that? Daemon X Machina. You know, if we saw Daemon X Machina on the list, we'd wonder what the hell it was. There were no pictures of any. See, a lot of people attached pictures to these Best Buy leaks, but there were not actually any photos or anything. So if we saw Daemon X Machina for the first time, we would say, what the hell is that? We would still be surprised when we saw it at an event, because we would say, oh, that's what it is. Like, that's just that's the experience. Once you find out about them, the surprise isn't really a surprise anymore. That's why I rarely look at any of them. I'm just saying there's a difference between oh yeah. Ryan, I absolutely believe you. And that's why when it comes to these 3 things that were leaked, I think the Link to the Past one is the most interesting, because it is the one we know least about. And I find that to be very fascinating. Of course, I love the Metroid Prime one. I can't wait to play Metroid Prime on the Switch. As long as Nintendo talking to you, Nintendo. Keep the thing in Metroid Prime when you charge up the ice beam and the ice freezes over the cannon, because I think they took that out of the trilogy version. And what I know they took out of the trilogy version, when you get the Phazon suit and she's writhing in pain, but then when she's done, she does the sick pose. That better be back in the game, because they took that out of the trilogy version and I was pissed off. Keep the scan visor jump. I bought Persona 5 recently on the PS4 for $15. $15 physical. I also have the physical Wii disc for Prime Trilogy, so I'm just waiting to see if the Switch version brings to the table. LTTP will always be interesting now. I just saw, did you get the $15 Persona 5 physical or digital? I just saw that digital, it went down to $20. So I'm thinking there's less and less of a reason for me to avoid it. The Switch is strong enough to handle particle effects, at least I think it is. I mean, the Switch is definitely stronger than the Wii U was. It's certainly stronger than the GameCube was. There's no reason that you can't get a remastered version of that game, of those 3 games on the system. It's less about power, more about transferring the games in a good state. Yeah. Physical has gone down in price. Yeah, I think I do finally need to buy Persona 5. It seems so stylish and cool. Like, I feel like I really need to be playing it, or need to have played it. I don't know. I just like it's RPGs now. They feel like such an investment, and it's so difficult for me to invest in them. Which is a shame, because I love RPGs. I love the ride that they take us on. Physical. February, it was in Best Buy for $20 one day. Oh, man. I'd wait to see if the physical version get announced too. And yeah, Persona 5 is a really good game. In my top 5 RPGs ever. Interesting. Okay. So we're going to jump topics here. Oh, wait. I have a specific thing for that. Let's hope that worked. For the next topic. Oh, yeah, that's what I set up. There was a tweet, I think it was a tweet, about adding an easy mode to the game Sekiro. Shadows die twice, but players die 100 times. Game journalism strikes again. It started a debate about the idea of easy modes for games and game difficulty in general. And whether or not it started the topic of whether or not game companies should quote unquote pander to casual players. I would argue that the discussion here needs to be, is it actually pandering, though? Let's get something right off the bat. I want to make my position perfectly clear on this. As long as the game is fair, as long as the controls are rock solid, the game isn't glitching, as long as the game is difficult because the game is difficult, not because of other issues. This is always a problem that I have. If the game is just challenging, I don't always think that there should be an easy mode. It takes away from the game. It takes away from a game that is rooted in its difficulty to add an easy mode to the game. I have yet to hear anybody really talk about Sekiro's storyline. It's always about how difficult the game is. These Dark Souls type games, which is what we call them now, which is BS because they should be, I would consider them NES hard before I would consider them Dark Souls type games. That is what they're known for. Saying this game needs to have an easy mode because I'm having trouble playing it is the same as saying this game has too many puzzles because I'm having trouble solving them. It's the same as saying the competition, I don't like battle royale games because there's too many people and they're better than I am. All of these are the same argument. The game, it functions in a way that you are, for one reason or another, incapable of playing, or have no desire to learn, to step up to the challenge, and you are now blaming the game, and you're blaming developers. I have a problem with that. That is, Sekiro doesn't have a story mode. I hope I'm saying it right. Sekiro doesn't have a story mode, more so a goal. Then that is a clear indication that the focus of the game is the gameplay itself and the challenge that it presents, not the story. If all you want is the story and you don't want to deal with the gameplay at all, go read a visual novel. Then because difficult games are not for you if that's what you want. There's no problem with that. So now then comes the issue of companies who do this, companies who add easy modes, companies who add ways for you to make the game more accessible to other people. Here's where I'm going to get a little controversial, and here's where I think I'm going to lose a lot of people. Yeah, not every game needs to be for everybody. Nothing wrong with making games for a more experienced crowd. Here is where I have a problem. Well, like I said, where I may lose a few people. Complaining that a game shouldn't have an easy mode because you like it more difficult is the same as saying that a game shouldn't be harder because you like it difficult. If the game is not, this is for the people who say, I don't like Pokemon games because they need to make them more challenging. I didn't like Kirby Star Allies because the game needs to be more difficult. I put these groups of people in the same cluster. Whether you want the game to be easier or harder, or whether you think the game should not be easier or harder, you don't have the justification to demand that they change the difficulty of a game to suit what you like. If they change the gameplay, one of the things in Fortnite that's going on right now is that they have made some specific changes that the pro players are arguing is making it is pandering towards the easy players. The pro players are saying that these changes are pandering towards the easy players, towards the new players. If you don't like it, stop playing the game. If you think that it is ruining your game experience, stop playing the game. That's what companies are going to understand. Companies are not going to sit there and read social media and see you complaining and say, oh, well, I guess we should change it. When you stop playing the game, when you stop spending money in the cosmetic store, that's when the company's going to say something. That's when they're going to notice something. But I group these people in the same way. If you're arguing that the game needs to be more difficult because you like the game to be more difficult, then it's probably not the game for you. Same thing with the Sekiro situation. If you are arguing that the game needs to be easier because you're having a hard time with it, stop playing it. It's not your kind of game. And that's totally fine. This is not the NES days where there's only one, maybe two systems worth of games to play. And if you are not able to play these particular cluster of games, you don't have anything to play. There are games across the board. There are PC games, Steam, Epic Store, all of that stuff. There are multiple systems. There are multiple handhelds. There's thousands of games a day coming out on this thing. Like you said, not every game needs to be for every single person. Really just depends on how the implementation of the easy mode is. Are you just changing damage values in combat, or are you cutting design? Yeah, Ryan, that's exactly it. And that's why that was what I was going to say about with the Fortnite situation. The Fortnite situation is that they made some gameplay changes. So that's not changing the difficulty. That's changing the game. I don't want that to happen. If you want Sekiro, for instance, if you want to change the damage output of your character or the damage output of the opponent characters, that's totally fine. But if you're going to add buttons that automatically do combos and you're going to remove the enemy's ability to attack you, that's not a difficulty change. That's a gameplay change. Don't change that stuff. That's not the right way to do it. Change the damage output. That's easy. I felt similar way about Crash Insane Trilogy. I never played Insane Trilogy, but I played the original Crash. I don't get why people think it. Oh, okay. Cuphead is hard, but no one complains about making Cuphead easier, because that's the point of the game. The point of the game is it became famous after its amazing visuals. It became famous because it's difficult. It doesn't hold your hand, as they say. RPGs and story-based games that tend to over level or gear. Yeah, and break, because all I care about is the story. Games like Mario and Kirby, relaxing platformers. Games like Sekiro, when I want a game to bend me over and call it daddy. Yeah, sometimes you want that. Sometimes you want a difficult game. Ain't to be bent over. Speak with your wallet, not with your mouth. To be fair on that front, every company would only pander to the easy crowd because it gets people to play the game. Yeah. Accessible equals more players, equals more revenue. It's way more different. Yeah, Fortnite's way more different. Fortnite, I could probably do a whole topic about the changes in Fortnite and what they mean. I know that it's fun to hate on the game, so I won't linger too long on it. I have a problem with the problem, because a lot of people are upset about these changes that were made to the solo mode. My issue is that the arena mode has the game the way players like it, which is with the siphon, where you kill somebody and you gain health and you gain materials. That's the big change that they took out. What I don't understand is why the people who are upset about the lack of this feature don't just play arena mode. The biggest argument against that is that arena mode has these ridiculously long queue times. I was watching a stream this morning, and she had a 20-minute queue for a match in arena mode, which was not typical, but does happen. That is an issue that needs to be dealt with. But the whole complaining about this feature being gone is a little bit ridiculous to me, because the feature is actually still there. It's just in a different game mode that pro players are going to want to play anyway. So, but like I said, that's a whole separate issue. Now it's fun to hate on it's always been fun to it's always been fun to hate on Fortnite. Everybody loves hating on the game. When they always say, "Oh, Fortnite, I can't handle that anymore. It's ridiculous," and I think we talked about that before. That always bothered me too, with the whole, "Oh my God, Fortnite is horrible. It needs to die and go away." And I look at people and think, okay, well, yeah, but people said that about Pokemon. People said that about video games. People say that about anything that gets popular that they choose not to understand. Like, that's just the way it is. People always do that. You know, people joke all the time about anime, anime was a mistake. And here's the thing: I've met people who don't think that that's a joke. I've met people who think that it's horrible and ridiculous, and if you watch anime, you're an idiot. There's always going to be something popular, and there's always going to be a cluster of people who hate it because it's popular. Because if you have not played the game, and I said the same thing with Pokemon. If you have not Pokemon Go, especially when Pokemon Go was starting, if you didn't play it, you never looked into it, and you vow not to try it out for any circumstance, then you don't hate the thing. You hate the popularity that the thing has gotten. It's fun to hate on Fortnite because of but it wasn't. But the Epic Store thing is only brand new. I mean, I played Fortnite the first time on the Switch, and then I play it on the PS4. I never went to the Epic Store. I suck at Mega Man X till I got Pro Controller. Hold on, I'm going back up here. If an old school is known for its difficulty but still a good game, I'd want to remaster that still. I'd want to remaster that still keeps the original difficulty, like Castlevania 3. I'd want to remaster. Okay. Does anyone remember the streamer that was playing Breath of the Wild? She went through a majority of the game without using one crit. See, Chips, I know what you're talking about, and I don't remember what it was. Mendez, we started late, so we started at about 5 o'clock. 5:20 if you remove all of that crap in the beginning. Tracer's outfit from I already made a big deal about Tracer's outfit from Overwatch. We're getting off topic. That's okay, Jeffersonia. That's what we do here. I like to do. That's why I do. First of all, that's why I do a talk show. That's why I do it like this with all of you, because it's more interesting to let the conversation flow freely. If I was very rigid and jammed onto the topic, I think that would be less interesting than it's more like a free-form discussion here. I know that the Sekiro picture doesn't make any sense, but it's more like a free-form discussion here. That's why I like to do that. But I mean, as far as the difficulty goes, that's not every game is for everybody. And that's sort of what the whole Fortnite thing was about. Was that not everything is for everybody. If you don't like it, you don't have the right to tell a game company that they need to change the game for you. And that's why we were talking about Fortnite. You don't have the right to tell a game company that they need to change because you, the individual player, or even a cluster of players, have a problem with the game as it is. It's not for you then. These are not the days where there's only a few games to play. There are hundreds, if not thousands of games to go out there and play. Find something else. Sekiro is not for you. Do you wonder why I haven't tried it yet? Sekiro is probably not for me. I do like a challenge in my games. I don't like when the challenge of the game is a clunky moving character, which is one of the reasons I think I never went back to try Dark Souls again. I will admit that the character felt clunky, which I get it. He moves more slowly, so you have to play more methodically. But there is a difference between making the character move slowly and heavily in order to call it difficulty. I don't like that. I've done it in fighting games. I've done it in action beat 'em up games. I do it as often as I can. I will usually choose a character whose speed is slightly above average. I normally don't like the fastest characters, like in Smash Brothers. I don't like Greninja and Sheik. They just move too quick for me. It's a lot of twitchy movements. It gives me anxiety to watch them play. But I would usually choose somebody with a little bit more speed. Again, especially in fighting games. It's funny because in fighting games, I used to usually pick female characters, and people would always joke like, "Oh, he's picking a female character. I wonder why." And I would always say it's usually because the female characters tend to be early in fighting games. They tended to be the smaller, lighter characters who were a better balance for speed and power with me. Nerf Greninja. Yeah, Sekiro has no difficulty setting. Yeah, Sekiro actually has 2 difficulty settings. Hard is the normal game, and easy is not playing it. Bayo OP, better Nerf Greninja. Chun-Li was the fastest character in Street Fighter 2. Yeah, and that's why I always picked female characters, because they were always the faster type characters. No, well, what's the argument about female characters? Oh, just better. It's I'd rather look at the back of a female character than a male character. Like, you're an idiot. That's like wanting a streamer to change. Yeah, Agent Fox, that's exactly right. Took it seriously when I had 2 difficulty settings. Yeah, that's exactly right. Imagine going to a stream and telling them, I don't like you playing retro games anymore. Okay, then the stream's not for you. Video game genre is action RPGs. For my series, do not have the feature of leveling. Oh yeah, action RPGs generally don't level up. or action adventure. I'm sorry. What I call action adventure is linked to is Legend of Zelda, where your character doesn't level. I usually use the term RPG for a character that does level up, that gains stat growth through leveling. Like that, yeah. I usually use it's probably wrong, but I usually use the term RPG for that. But I'm the viewer. You must pander to what I want. I don't know if this relates to difficulty or not when it comes to lives and games. I don't have a problem with games that have them or don't have them. Okay. Peach and Bayonetta from Melee. Kokino from Blaze. Oh, I never played Blaze Blue. Yeah. Yeah, Metroid. Metroid I consider action adventure. The character doesn't level up. You gain strength through items. There are RPGs where skills, stats, etc. Actually, you know what, Ryan? That's a better example. Not where you gain levels, but you raise stats. Where there are numbers for the stats, basically. Obviously, you can get your Metroid, you can get items like speed boosts and stuff, but there are no numbers for speed and constitution and defense and attack. I think games that have your stats broken down in that way, to me, categorize better as RPGs. Symphony of the Night, I would call Symphony of the Night an action adventure RPG. It's a single character, but your character still levels. You still monitor your stats until you get the Ring of Varda, and then and the Chrysogrim, and you don't care what your stats are. Diablo's like that. I have had the biggest itch to play Diablo 3 since I've been wanting to play it for a little while. That's actually a game. Diablo 3 is one of the only games that I played only on PC. And I'm not generally a PC gamer, but Diablo 3 is the only game that I play other than like WoW. But WoW doesn't exist anywhere but PC. But yeah, Diablo 3 is on consoles. I think I even have one of them for PS3. I think I have the first Diablo 3. Never played it. Never touched it. Always played it on PC. And I haven't played it in years. Because I lost it after I stopped playing WoW. I've had the biggest urge to go back and play it, and now that I built the computer, I kind of want to play it just to see how it would look. Looking for an FPS, and the Spyro trilogy has none of the elements. It needs to be changed. Well, Jeffersonia, we'll get a Spyro in VR one day for you. RPG. That's Age of Fox. That's like a Western RPG. Haven't played Diablo yet. Diablo 3 is okay. I remember liking Diablo 2. Only played early game with Diablo. Okay. Wolfson? No, that sounds interesting. Going back to difficulty, I think certain games do warrant certain complaints. It depends. It depends on what, like ones who step back in difficulty too little or too much from its predecessor that is jarring. It depends on the difficulty, John. When you're I know what you're talking about. You're talking about a game where it has a moderate difficulty, and then the second game or the third game in the series is wildly difficult. I still think that they're entitled to their own difficulty, but I understand what you mean where it is a bit jarring. Tomb Raider 3, I felt Tomb Raider 3 was jarringly more difficult than 1 and 2. To the point where I never played it. I played the first mission where you fight the 6-armed statue, and for some reason I thought it was too difficult. I thought the difficulty spike was insane for that early in the game, so I just never played it. You know, where is our Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3 remake? Are we ever going to get that? I guess we're not going to get that because they rebooted the character, right? There was a game site called the New CTR, the New CTR, the Dark Souls of Cards. Oh, like Blastmaster 02 definitely assumes you played the 01. Yeah, see, I'm not a huge fan of that. I'm not a fan of a prerequisite class for a game. Just don't play it applies it. Yeah, if the game is glitchy and broken, if the game is difficult for the wrong reasons, if the game is glitchy, if the game is broken, if the characters are they move wrong, you know what I mean? Like if there are errors and stuff, like you can tell that there's coding errors. Tomb Raider 1 been re-released? No, they've rebooted the series basically. I know that the Tomb Raider from 2012. Well, I think it was 2012. I think that's supposed to be a retelling of the origin of the character. So, the original story doesn't work anymore. Yeah, they rebooted it twice. Yeah, because in the original, we're getting off topic here. I know that. In the original series, she was a wealthy, she was a wealthy daughter of wealthy people, and she was lost in a plane crash. She was lost in the jungle for like 2 weeks or something. She had to survive on her own. She got a taste for that, and she became an adventurer. Her parents disowned her because they were aristocrats and didn't want her doing that sort of stuff. So she amassed her own fortune. Like that was supposed to be her history. They changed that at some point, and then they changed it again. I don't even know what the topic is. Yeah, well, look at the Oliver Queen knockoff. Tomb Raider lore. Yeah, we're off topic from where we were, so we're gonna switch it up. Okay, so. Oh no, wait, not that one. There we go. This topic's gonna be fast. The cheating Taco Bell sauce packets to survive. This topic's gonna be quick. Because I think I have a weird sort of take on it. The Joker trailer came out, which is the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie. It looks okay. It looks like a good movie. It looks like an interesting concept of one man's descent into madness. And how he portrays that madness, you know, how it comes out. I'm already not interested. Next. Well, Chips, you're just gonna have to deal with the difficulty setting on this conversation then. It looks very fascinating. Here's my biggest issue. This is supposed to be a world, sort of, where Batman exists, where Superman exists, where all of these characters exist. I have trouble separating that realization from this movie. It's not in the DCEU. Now, and Ryan, and that's a whole, we'll get to that because that's actually another problem. Which we talked about on Twitter briefly. It takes place in the 70s. That's totally fine. I understand that. I just and this is why I knew I wasn't going to talk about this much, because I'm having trouble putting into words what exactly it is that I don't like about it. And that is, imagine if we got a Wonder Woman movie. Well, maybe not Wonder Woman, but imagine if we got an Aquaman movie where it's just about his dealing with being on the surface. There's no superpowers. There's no other superheroes. It's just, imagine a Spider-Man movie where we don't really see Spider-Man. It's just Peter Parker. It's just Peter Parker dealing with the idea of being Spider-Man. Normal humans in context. I think it's probably you're going to have is to accept with any superhero fiction is that relies on normal human. Okay. Not normal humans in the context of the world. The idea that this is a normal world is the problem for me. The idea that This is a world that does not have these fantastic things. Yes, I understand the movies in the 70s supposedly before a lot of the superhero stuff got started. Assuming, depending on what timelines you choose to look at. But it's the issue that I have is that somebody on Twitter, I forget who it was, said that they do this to try and make the character more relatable, so that it's easier to sympathize with the character, seeing them in what we would consider a real world setting, as opposed to the fantastical comic book world. But that's not actually that difficult. Spider-Man, if you can have situations with Spider-Man where Spider-Man has to be Spider-Man. He has to fight crime. He has to do all of these crazy things. But he also has to take care of his aunt. He also has to maintain his job. He also has a relationship. And depending on which timeline you watch for Spider-Man, he also has to go to school. That is relatable to me. I understand that. I understand the idea of balancing so many things and they all feel like the most important thing that you have to do. You still have him in a fantastic fantasy setting, but the character and the struggles that he goes through are relatable to us. I don't think you need to take the character out of the fantastic setting in order to make them relatable. So I think that that's kind of the problem. What was the movie, the animated movie where they talk about the Joker? Or was it Under the Red Hood? Where they talk about, or the Red Hood is his things that lead. I think it was that one. Truth be told, I'm just not too familiar with it. I think it was that one where you see that he needs money and he's Killing Joke and the Red Hood both do that. They have these things that happen in them where you understand what the character's going through. Yes, he needs to worry about Batman and he needs to worry about mafia, crime, and all of this stuff. But you still are sympathetic to the character because you still understand the kind of struggles that he's facing. I think that that's easy enough to do. So the first Thor movie, in a way, a little bit anyway. Actually, you know what? You bringing that up, Minion. That's actually a really good point. In the first Thor movie, he has to cook at some point. You know what I mean? Like he starts serving food. Like he has to learn that he needs to have a more level head. And I got that lesson. I understand where the lesson was for him to learn, even though all of the crazy stuff around him was happening. There's no guarantee of anything regarding superheroes or whatnot. We don't know anything. Part of the madness could involve just how escalation the problems are with Superman. Yeah, we're definitely jumping the gun here. What I'm going with is the trailer, and I'm going with what the trailer showed us. And what the trailer showed us was a movie about some man's descent into madness in a universe that is supposed to also become these other things. I will tell you what I will. Would Superman's existence inherently change the story being told? Maybe. I think it might. I think that one of the things that superhero movies and superhero settings will often do that is very little talked about is that it could change how people view the world around them. And that's an interesting aspect to me. You know, if we lived in a universe where people like Batman existed, which were normal people who have gone through traumatic things and had this wild transformation into crime fighters or supervillains, I think that in growing up, it may change what we see. Ironically, depending on the scope of what the Joker does in this movie, if he's if at some point we see him be a bad guy, it would make more sense to become a villain of a larger scope in a world with heroes that are larger in scale. Scale is the word I was looking for. if you were to say right now that some kid from inner city Philadelphia, from one of the urban areas of Philadelphia, he had a rough childhood, he was beaten up. As he got older, he was beaten up and treated like crap. And so he developed a plot to steal a nuclear bomb and blow up half the city. You would think, what? Kind of, boy, that escalated quickly. Like, you would think that that was ridiculous. In a world that contains superheroes, it would actually make a little bit more sense, because you would argue that he's trying to get their attention so that he could be famous. And if you think that that's ridiculous, there are people that have done that throughout history. There are people that have committed the biggest atrocities, that have murdered people, that have done all kinds of things, all for the recognition of having done them. Look at half of the celebrities who have ever been murdered for seemingly no reason whatsoever. Most of the time, those killers are looking for recognition. So it would make more sense to me in a world that contains superheroes, that there's actually an argument all the time about, do superheroes breed supervillains? That's an interesting argument. That to me is a very fascinating take on the idea of the existence of both of them. Does one breed the other? What would come first? In that situation, would you get a Batman before you got a Joker, or would a Joker create a Batman? It's very fascinating. That's a very interesting idea. We will at least see Batman, I imagine. See, and that's the thing, Ryan. I don't know that we will. I don't know that we will even see Batman at all. I think that maybe they might throw an extra scene in the end. But yeah, I question whether or not we would even see a Batman in this movie, other than, to try and throw it in there and have him meet Bruce Wayne at some point, and like, oh look, they're gonna meet and be arch rivals later on. Like, but yeah, I don't know. And and with the trailer that we see, we can't know. That's my point. That's one of the points that I'm trying to make here, is that I'm going off of what we saw in the trailer. And what we saw from the trailer is not a supervillain movie. What we saw in the trailer was, like I've said before, the idea of this man's descent into madness and how that affects somebody, which I think is a very fascinating concept. Frozen, for anybody that saw Frozen, or for the two people that have not seen Frozen, I thought halfway through that Anna was going to stay a villain. I thought that what we were watching was the story of a villain. And, we always hear about the hero's origin story, and then sometimes we hear about the origin story of the villain, but we don't actually get to experience it. And I thought that the movie was actually going to be her being the villain. I thought that was very interesting. I'm one of the two people. One of the Batman Into the Spider-Verse did not get into the Kingpin's origin story or anything like that. But when you find out what's going on and why it's going on, it does create more sympathy. Elsa, I'm sorry. Yeah, I meant Elsa. It does create more sympathy for the character. It's very interesting. So another question: what do you think of them using Romero imagery for this Joker than the more modern examples? I would say that they're using the Romero imagery to get away from the modern Jokers, because that's the first thing everybody said. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Did I say Batman Into the Spider-Verse? Oh my god, Batman Into the Batverse. The first thing that most people said was they compared it to Heath Ledger's Joker. You look at this guy right here. They compared him to Heath Ledger's Joker, and I think that Heath Ledger has the second best Joker there was. Sorry, Jack Nicholson. And sorry, Cesar Romero with his painted mustache. But that they probably want to get away from that. we're at a point where we remember the Romero Joker, but a lot of people probably don't. So they figure, and it's supposed to be the 70s. Remember, Romero's Joker was what, 66? Batman 66. So they probably wanted it to look older because yes, it clearly does look like an older Joker as far as time period goes. The wood paneling on the walls is a dead giveaway that this is the 70s. Mark Hamill will always be the best Joker, absolutely. I'm the elusive third. Yeah, I just making Elsa become the hero in the end completely ruined. Yeah, I thought that's what it would have been. Ryan, I'll tell you another movie that does that was Maleficent. Maleficent did a good job of making the character seem sympathetic. In a way, it was a little more fantasy based. A lot more fantasy based. What I don't like is that by the end you were rooting for the character. And I don't want that. I still want the character to be the villain at the end. But I want you, the viewer, to understand what they went through, why they did that. Because we've had here's a discussion that we've had before about Batman. Batman's parents were murdered in front of him in an alley. He had all kinds of crazy money because they were all super rich. He eventually grew up and decided that he wanted revenge against the kinds of people that murdered his parents. So he became Batman. Without money. Let's say he didn't have money. Let's say he didn't have the means to avenge his parents, as he likes to think that he's doing. It would be easy for him to hate the world and decide that this world needs to pay for taking his parents and become a villain. That's an easy transition. Hell, even with money, that's an easy transition. What is it that made him go hero instead of villain? I would argue that it was the love of his parents being good people. That he knew that his parents would never want him to be a bad guy, so he wanted revenge. So you mean, that's what Hush was? It's an easy transition to go from hero to villain in that situation. You're definitely teetering one way or the other. So I like that. I like that idea. And I feel like this Joker movie is going to explore that kind of character. A character that has all of these horrible things happen to him, but he has no way to direct his anger. There's no villain for him to fight. There's no criminal element for him to decide this is the bad guy. You know, so what do you do when there's no clear villain to blame your life on? You blame the world. So you want to take it out on that. I think that it's going to be very interesting. That's why I don't want to make it sound like I'm hating on the idea of the Joker movie. It is a little odd to see this movie and to see it be completely taken out of the superhero aesthetic, but I still think it'd be an interesting movie. Or yeah, if Bruce didn't have Alfred, he would have been brooding the entire time, and he could have ended up hating the world for it. That's why I like Gotham. It shows Bruce slip a few times, and the love of Alfred, support from Jim and the rest of the people around to bring him back from the brink. Yeah, see, I like that. Gotham played around with that idea for a bit. Yeah, see, of course, my other huge problem with the Joker movie is also the same problem with the Gotham movie, which is the problem with Supergirl and Arrow and Flash and all of this other stuff, is that it's another timeline. It's another DC timeline. Stop. They acted for a minute like they wanted to have a DC movie universe the same, or cinematic universe the same way that Marvel does, but then they refuse to tie everything together. Stop making these things that are separate. If you want to put them together, you have to have some sort of consistency. At this point, I think we've just given up on it, though, or I think they've given up on it. should have been doing is the different DC. Yeah, Ryan, if this type of movie was the DC EU or DCCU, I like DCCU better. I think that would work. I think it would work to have these characters develop in a similar kind of universe. Because, yeah, this Joker, you're not going to see this in Justice League 2. It doesn't fit. It's not the same kind of character. Stop hating on their timelines and they'll keep them linked. Every time I hate on the DC timelines, they make another series outside of the timeline. Marvel keeps my attention better. Marvel keeps my attention because I know that it all feels like it matters. When I watch something from Marvel, I know that, I wonder how this ties into the universe. I wonder what this is going to lead to. That's more interesting for me. If I don't watch Suicide Squad, I'm not missing anything in Justice League. If I don't watch Gotham, I'm not missing anything in Arrow. Like, all of this stuff is unrelated, so I don't care about missing any of it. Marvel, I think we're getting a little burned out. Marvel, I think we are getting to the point where we're a little burnt out on them trying to tell you that you need to see all of this stuff, which they never really did. I don't ever feel like I got the idea that Marvel is saying you need to watch all of these things in order to understand the whole story. To be fair, Marvel does the same things for everything outside of the movies. Don't act like the MCU is well, hold on now, because they do all exist. All of the Marvel properties exist in the same universe. And they try to keep them relatively separate as far as goings on, but they have, Daredevil and all of those shows, all of the Netflix shows, they have mentioned the events of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They don't rely on them. That's the point, is they don't rely on those movies to drive the popularity of their shows. But they make it a point for you to understand, you the viewer to understand, okay, these things are going on in the same universe. And I love that feeling. I love that sensation of these things all happening together. When I played Warcraft, one of my favorite things about playing Warcraft was that I would go and read the books, and then in the game I would be able to go and see these locations. When I read short stories that came from Blizzard, I knew that they were related to the game. When I watched cinematics, I would be able to go into the game and then play the before and after those cinematics. It was a very simple thing, but it made me feel like I was playing some consistent universe and not just watching random little bits of random little bits. After Endgame, I think everyone... After Endgame, I think there should be a little bit of a break. I feel like there should be a bit of a break, unless Endgame does what I think it's going to do, which is dramatically shake up the characters. I feel like Endgame is the perfect moment to introduce the X-Men. And then actually run those movies. And I don't think anybody will complain about an X-Men reboot. I think that it's nice to see a new Spider-Man taking or Spider-Man taking the helm. It's nice to see Captain Marvel. I like Captain Marvel because Captain Marvel gives us a venue for Marvel Cosmic. Yes, Guardians of the Galaxy sort of did it, but Guardians of the Galaxy, I don't think does it as well as Marvel. See, one of the things I want to see in Marvel, one of my favorite things about Marvel Comics is the higher up issues. That's why I like the Infinity Gauntlet, because the Infinity Gauntlet originally involved different like Eternity and stuff. These characters who are essentially represent elements of existence, and they were getting involved with this stuff. Characters like Eternity, Master Order, and Master Chaos. I like that level of character. Captain Marvel, I think, gives us a gateway into that. Characters like Galactus. I love the character of Galactus. I would love to see that character exist in the Marvel Universe. That's why I hope the Fantastic Four shows up. I think we can say that Infinity War... wait, hold on. Jump ahead. Damn it. Infinity War is the only time where the whole you have to watch some of the other stuff to understand what's going on. Yeah, but even then, a general stuff. Yeah, Minion. There are a bunch of Infinity Stones, and he's gonna get them. Like, that's it. I think that's enough. If you want more backstory, there's 10 years worth of movies. I feel everything gets far too bloated. Yeah, and Ryan, and that's why they dropped a lot of that stuff. That's why they dropped a lot of the shows. Most of the Netflix shows are gone. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was gone. I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is gone. They had this other show that was supposed to be like a comedy show where it was like Disaster Incorporated or something that existed in the Marvel Universe, but it was sort of a comedy show where it was these companies that were handling the destruction that the superheroes and supervillains would leave behind. It was an interesting idea, but it just didn't fit. So they are scaling it down. Marvel Cosmic is, like I said, that higher echelon. When you start getting into the gods, when you start seeing stories about the Living Tribunal, that's when you start getting into Marvel Cosmic. And the Infinity Stones, like it says in the movie, they are a byproduct of the creation of the universe. Every universe has its own set of stones, is the idea with those. They are tied to the idea of creation, and there are these beings that exist with that. Eternity and Oblivion. I think it was Master Order and Master Chaos. The Living Tribunal. These are characters that come into existence at the creation of the universe. And then Galactus is, his name was Galen? Or Galen? He was remnant of the universe that came before this one that was destroyed. I forget exactly what destroyed it. Might have been the M'Kraan crystal. Galactus. I like Galactus. I like Galactus because Galactus leads us back to the origin of the universe, and before that, I find that Galactus ties us to a higher level of existence in Marvel. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s getting a season 6. Okay, so it is getting another season. I need to go back and watch that show. Oh wait, what was this about? Homecoming. Apparently, Spider-Man or Far From Home will be the last MCU movie for a whole year. If that's true, I like that. If that's true, that's good. Okay, I see. I heard about those beings from YouTube. Aqua, are you talking about Comics Explained? He did a for anybody that has not watched this, I think I've mentioned it before. There's a channel called Comics Explained that did a 5-part video called the history of the Marvel Universe, and I thought that it was going to be about the origins of the company and how it was. What was it before? I forget what it was called before. Not Alliance Comics or something. I forget what it was called. I thought that's what it was all going to be about. It turns out that it talks about the creation of the Marvel Universe, the gods, and everything. Like it talks about the Celestials and the Aspirants. It talks about who the Titans are. What the hell was it? Not the Living Tribunal. The host, the Celestial hosts. The meetings that they have, like it talks about all that stuff. Very, very, very fascinating. I'm the DC guy, so I know more DC See, and that's the thing. DC Cosmic. I don't know that I've ever heard of DC. Like, what are the origin? And this is a big topic for right now because Reed screwed something up again. Ryan, there is debate about whether or not the current Marvel Universe is the 7th or 8th. because I believe the 7th universe was nearly destroyed, but Franklin Richards rebooted it. So the argument is that this is the 8th universe. So yes, they're not Reed, Franklin. You would have to look that up, but yeah, I think that's the biggest issue, that there was a conflict there, because the universe was either destroyed or it was protected, and then Franklin Richards rebooted the universe. Reed is the biggest threat to the Marvel universe, and we all know it. You damn right. Any man that can stretch like a rubber band is a threat. So yeah, so that's the Joker movie. Alrighty. Moving on. This is the viewer topics portion of the show. So if you have anything that you want to discuss, any questions you would like to ask, whether they be topics or just questions, for me, that's totally fine. I can't always promise that I'll answer them, but I can always promise that you can ask. So yeah, if you have anything that you want to discuss, now is the time to throw it out there. Oh god, DBS is Marvel. I think there's more than 12 universes. Are you a superhero? If I was, I would not be able to tell you. I also couldn't possibly tell you what my power is. If I had to have a superpower, it would be flight. And not because I would be able to help people or anything, just because I don't want to deal with traffic. Any reason you haven't been in recent SGB playthroughs? I don't go there very often. I only go there to every few weeks or so to record more Smash Brothers. So I'm not there often. It's a little bit of a drive for me to get there. And our schedules don't really sync up very often. That's really all. There really isn't any more specific reason. I mean, truth be told, if they wanted me there, they'd ask me. Oh, and one more. Oh no, wait. The monitor and anti-monitor. Oh, okay. Those are really big ones. I'll look those up. I'm not familiar with those names. Flight, so basic. Yeah, White Ninja. I know it's a very basic, blah sort of power, and it doesn't really. That's the one thing that I think people later, Mr. Sonic, have a good one. That's the one thing I think people don't a lot will overlook about the power of flight, is that it doesn't, like, what are you gonna do? You're not super strong, so it's not like you can fly and lift a building and take it out of danger. And like, flight is the best thing you can do with flight is get help faster, which we have cell phones for. Having the power of flight, to me, is a very selfish power. But what can I say? I don't want to deal with traffic. Following on yesterday. Oh yeah, we had a conversation we were having a conversation yesterday about vegetarianism. No, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't know. I would have to like get questions together. You were in Trav's video. I don't remember exactly what you brought up, but I remember kind of agreeing. How exactly do you feel about the battle royale genre? I was in a video by that Trav guy, and we were he wanted to talk about battle royale games and what he thought was right, what he thought was wrong with them. I actually thought I liked battle royale games. I really do. I love the concept. One of the things I brought up in the video was that I like the variety of competition. When you play competitive games, specifically like Fortnite. Speaking specifically about Fortnite, because that's my Fortnite and Tetris are my biggest experiences with battle royale. When it comes to something like a combat game, there are different styles of play. There's long-range players and there's close-up players. There's players who like to take the high ground, which is very beneficial, or there's players who like to take the low ground because they know that everybody is going to take the high ground. There's different ways to play different kinds of games. The problem is when you get into games with combat and there's only 8 players, or even 16 players, you usually come up with a very streamlined style of play. Everybody's playing very much the same way. Battle Royale games, they change all of that by putting so many people into the mix that it's hard to get a beat on what's going on. I can't tell you how many times I've watched up close fighters get in somebody's face, gun them down, and then get taken out by a sniper 200 meters away. That's a concern that they, the player, and you, the player, have to focus on, because you can't just say, oh, well, if somebody's going to come at me with a shotgun, I'll be better than them. Yeah, but it's not always the guy with the shotgun that you need to worry about. You know, Fortnite has building where you build things up so you can take high ground faster. But what if you're the type of player who hides behind trees? You need to watch out for that too. Like, that to me is a better aspect. My biggest problem with Battle Royale is that for right now, other than Tetris, it is confined to combat games. I love Tetris Battle Royale because it's so many other players and it's so much that you have to manage. I would love to see 100-player Bomberman, 100-player Twisted Metal. I like the Battle Royale format. I just think that other than Tetris, you're hard pressed to find a legitimate Battle Royale game that isn't gun combat. 100-player Sekiro. Here we go. Thoughts on how some parents discipline their kids by breaking their game consoles. That's interesting. Thoughts on how some parents discipline their kids by breaking their game consoles. I think that if the kid bought the console themselves, then you need to respect that. I think that if you want to take it away, totally fine. Take the system away. I'm a douche who would probably take away like the power cords and the controllers and leave the system. Obviously kids can find a way around that, but if the kids bought it themselves, you need to respect that. Even if they didn't, even if you bought it for them as a gift, you need to teach them that their property is their property. If you want to take it because they're not performing in school the way they're supposed to be, or they're acting up in one way or another, that's fine. The idea of destroying it it's almost emotionally scarring. Not because, oh, my video game system, but because you are showing to them that you are exhibiting an amount of control over their life that is unhealthy. It's one thing to say, imagine a parent that says, you got a parking ticket, or you got a speeding ticket. I don't like the way you're driving. I don't like the fact that you're driving too much. So then they go outside and they take a match to the car. That would be insane. That level, obviously it's a car, so it's more expensive than a video game system. But there is something psychologically damaging about the idea of telling a child, A, you're being bad, so I'm going to take your things away from you for a short amount of time. Or B, you're being bad, I'm going to destroy everything that you like permanently. There's a psychology behind that is unhealthy, and I don't like that. Prince Harry saying how he wants Fortnite banned in the UK because it's addictive and wants the government to police it better. You know what I also think is it should be policed better and probably should be banned in the UK. Ultra rich royal families who have power over other people simply because of their genetics. Sorry, Prince Harry, but the fact that people have to call you Prince and kneel in front of you and stuff is BS. This is not Game of Thrones. And again, going back to what we talked about earlier, unless you've played around in Fortnite, shut up. Sorry, I'm a little harsh on ultra rich, ultra privileged people who think that they can tell regular people what to do. I'd stop time just so I could sleep more. I dislike big multiplayer games rely far too much on the community and how the games themselves go to have fun. That can be argued about a lot of games. Even smaller multiplayer games, I think that can be argued, but I do see your point. Battle Royale got oversaturated very quickly, yeah. That's definitely an issue. Hello, Rye. I see the dinner was delicious. Breaking things is an overly violent way of punishment. Yeah. It's even worse when a parent decides to record it and put it on the internet. Yeah, that's when I start to when you record your kid's punishment and put it on the internet just for your own enjoyment, you start to concern me as a parent, because you should not be doing that for enjoyment. You should be doing that to teach them a lesson. And putting it on the internet for laughs is less of a lesson and more of crazy. The royal family actually doesn't have that much political power anymore. It's just a symbol of the country. Yeah, but you know. But Ryan, they still have to be followed by a lot of security. People still put way too much importance on them. You're still supposed to show them all kinds of courtesy, even though they, you know, they act like they want to be regular people, but they're clearly not. Video games are a form of entertainment, escapism, and comfort, especially for children. To destroy it is abusive. Speaking of, what do you think about the UK investigating the big three in gaming? About their honor, Chips. I think that's stuff that should have happened a long time ago. I think that the argument for loot boxes is as gambling is an argument that should have been happening a long time ago. I think that there is a lot about video games that probably do need to be looked into, not how they're responsible for gun violence. Yeah, auto renewal, return policies, unfair shop practices, etc. I think that there is a lot that needs to be explored about these things. That being said, return policies is one that I'm not entirely sure needs to be looked at. If I go to Best Buy and buy a movie and I don't like the movie, am I allowed to return it? No, probably not. Not on the basis that I don't like it. Most stores will not give you your cash back. They will give you another copy of the movie if you say that it's defective or something. But they're not going to return my movie because I didn't like it or I didn't like the ending. So I question demanding that video games need to be able to be returned because you don't like the game. That to me is a double standard, and it seems a little odd. If the game doesn't work, you take it back and you get another copy of the game. Plain and simple. That's easy. That's fine. Nobody's questioning that. The only thing royals do now is pull tourists in and can rule over parliament in rare cases, but they don't do anything. I need to touch this. Yeah, the whole return policy thing is one that bothers me. It's more of a matter of digital shops don't have any method of returns or exchanges for things like store credit. And that's the thing, Ryan. Why should they have to do anything for returns? You have plenty of time to do research for video games. There are reviews that come out well before the game even comes out. There are Let's Plays. There are streamers. There's tons and tons of information about video games out there. If you buy a game based on all of that research and you don't like it, why is it the store's responsibility to give you money back? Greg, we do that. Parents of kids don't. Well, then that's their fault. That's always going to be their fault. I've argued this from the beginning, that is always going to be the parent's fault for not doing that. That is defending that is telling me that if a parent walks into a video game store and says, I gave my child money to come and buy a video game, and at no point did I investigate what kind of game they were going to buy, I want my money back. I don't understand why the parent has the right to do that. The parents need to be involved in this, knowing that this is an entertainment medium that has stuff that they might not want to see. Parents need to be more involved in this. It's their responsibility. What if the kid buys it without their knowledge? Then the parent can take it from them. Sell it. Do whatever they want with it. Don't destroy it in front of them. We've already talked about that. But the parent does not have the right to walk into the store and say, you, the store, are responsible for this. If the store sold them an R-rated game, or whatever, M-rated. If the store sold them an M-rated game without checking for their identification and they knew that they were selling it to a child, that's different. Again, that is the store not doing what they're supposed to be doing and not paying attention to the rules that are in place, because whether or not people like those rules, they are in place and they are there for a reason. But there are parents out there who are told that Mario Brothers teaches kids to do mushrooms. God, I wish I was making that up, but I'm really not. If a kid came into the store 12, 13 years old and had the money and said, hey, I'm going to buy this game, the store has every right to sell them that game. So if the parents find out and for one reason or another they do not approve of it, they have the right to do whatever they want to do as far as punishment for their child. But they don't have the right to come into the store and tell the store that they are responsible for that, that they need to return their money because the parent is unhappy with what happened. You don't have the right to do that. Like I said, if you watch a movie and you don't like it for whatever reason, if you buy a movie, oh my God. Okay, I have a perfect example. Any parent who went to Best Buy or went to a video store, bought Deadpool for their kids because it's that new comic book movie that came out, sits down with them and starts to watch the movie and realizes very quickly that this is not a kid's movie. Why should that parent have the right to take that movie back to Best Buy and say, and I'm saying Best Buy just because it's in my mind, why should that parent have the right to take that movie back to Best Buy and say, I didn't know this movie had cursing in it, I want my money back? They really shouldn't. They should not have the right to do that. And forcing companies to, it's Spider-Man. Yeah, that's what a lot of people thought. Forcing companies to provide a venue, a method for doing that is a bit unfair. I like the idea. There was one of the stores, I don't know if it's Steam or whoever, one of the stores allows you to return the game might be the Microsoft store, a few hours after you bought it. Literally like 2 or 3 hours. They do that for accidental purchases. That's actually totally okay. I'm fine with that. You have the right to do that. I've had customers at my job that they buy tickets for the train and they walk outside and they come in and say, oh, I just got a phone call. I don't have to go downtown, or I'm getting a ride. I need to return my tickets. Give it right back. No problem. You just left. You just left with it. But giving somebody half a day, 2 days to return something, they're going to play it and they're going to beat it and they're going to bring it back. Like that's you shouldn't be giving people the right to do that. Spider-Man is a censored version of Deadpool with no weapons. Oh, that's a hot take. Game is the only chain. I'm going back up. Game is the only chain store for video games we have in England. I'd be sad to see it go, as I don't want to have to buy everything online. Nobody wants to buy everything online. Meow. But if it's M-rated game, they usually ask for ID for it. Yeah, they should. They should. Not everybody does. They're supposed to, but not everybody does. Ratings are on the cover, and they detail why the ratings are chosen: comic, violence, swearing, nudity. Yeah, it's nothing to do with the store. Steam lets you return it if you play it under a certain number of hours. I don't know how Xbox or PS. Yeah, well, there's a big complaint now because some of these other stores don't have policies at all, or their policies are extremely strict. But I just don't think that they need to be all that loose as far as their policies. I don't think it's fair. I think that you more than ever have a hundred different venues to get information about these games. If you choose not to use those venues, if you choose not to read the articles or watch the videos or watch the streams or talk to other people, you don't have the right to complain. I don't think that you do. You know, there are some exceptions. Doki Doki Literature Club kind of threw everybody for a loop. I think that caught a lot of people off guard. Doki Doki is probably one of the biggest fake outs in a while. That's what I'm getting with things like parents not being aware of purchases and the like. Yeah. Yeah. So many problems can be avoided more if more parents did that. Yeah, and even then, sometimes it's a matter of what the specific. It's rare, but it's the specific content. I've told this before. I was working at the game store and I had a parent come in, and they normally let their kids play games that are a little more violent. They show a little blood, but nothing too serious. But they didn't like it was Tecmo's Deception. They didn't like that the point of the game was that you were trying to revive the devil, and that was the button. Like, that was the line that made them bring the game back. They let the kid buy the game, but when they found out that was the point, that was the line. Yeah, you bought a bad game, you bought a bad game. That's it. That's it. That's how it works. That's why you do research. I'll tell you what, you only pay $60 for a bad game once. Then you research. Happy Tree Friends is obviously for kids. Look at all the happy animals. Yeah, right. Yeah, so is Panty and Stocking. That's everyone's issue with the eShop. eShop is one of the ones that has no return policy. But I have never bought a game on the eShop without looking at videos, without watching a stream, without hearing about it from other people. And if I bought a game and wasn't really a fan of it, all right, more research next time. If I look up information on a game on a video and I buy the game based on the strength of that video and then I don't like it, you know what? I don't go back to that video either. I don't go back to the person that made that video because maybe our opinions are a little bit different. It focuses on your research, or it focuses your research. Pretty much any game that had a demon in it, my mom forbade us to play. But what about when you're defeating the demons? I mean, Devil May Cry, you're gonna make the devil cry, isn't that's good, right? Worker and Parasite is child friendly, right? Yeah, sure. Yeah, because the children are work. How do you buy something? How do you buy something without downloading it on the PSN? I think that when you buy something, you have the option to buy it and not download it. So a certain game, I think you have to choose that because you might want to download it later, or you might be downloading it as a gift for somebody else. So I think that you can download it, and instead of starting the download immediately, you can choose to download it later with a code. That's how you gift codes to other people. Was it Stardew Valley? Who was it? Was it? I forget who it was. That donated Stardew Valley to me here so that we could play it on stream. That they bought it and then gave me the code. Like, that's how that works. Yeah, you can buy anything, but you have the option to not download it at the moment. Yeah, you're killing Doom. Yeah, that was you, Agent Fi. I didn't want to say it without it being true. And thank you again for that. That was like 200 hours of fun. But yeah, when you buy the game, it doesn't automatically start to download. You have the option to get a code instead. And some people like to do that. Especially if you're buying a game early and don't know if you're going to like it. Some people like to do that. I don't know why. I would just wait to buy the game. When you do a lot of research, you may still not like the game. Like me and Mario Odyssey, it's really just bound to happen. You shouldn't be mad about it. It happened. It's just what happened. Everybody has paid to go and see a movie that they were not a huge fan of. Everybody has watched movies on DVD and video that they were not a huge fan of. Everybody's paid to play games that they don't really like. If you went into an arcade, dropped a quarter into a game, and hated the game, you're not going to demand your quarter back. You lost a quarter. More parents need to do research on what games they're getting for their kids. I thought Sage was back here. GameStop purchase download codes. Well, that's changing. Alrighty. I think that. Oh wait, I can close that now. I think that that's going to do it for today. Thank you, everybody, so much for stopping in and hanging out. Thank you for dealing with all of the stuff in the beginning, which was a whole lot of issues. Hopefully, we're not still having issues. I'm going to get this working. One day, all of this is going to work exactly the way I want it to, for all of you. So oh, so next week we get to talk about your Ryan. I didn't even realize that was out. I didn't even realize. I saw things for it. I didn't. No idea that it was even coming out. Which is a shame because I like Zachary Levi. Is it Levi? I like him. I loved him in Chuck. I watched like the first 3 seasons of Chuck, and I thought that was a great show. Thank you, everybody, so much. I want you to have an amazing weekend. Hang out, play lots of fun games. Be good to each other. I saw it last night. Oh, Shazam was a lot of fun. I'm interested to see it, but I'll be honest, I haven't been to a movie in a while. I honestly think Avengers Infinity War was the last movie I went to, and and I'm pretty sure Endgame will be the next movie I go to. Thank you, everybody. Have an amazing day, amazing weekend. I will see you all next.